Okay, boys, back in another episode number 22. I'm your co-host Amir Man with...
I'm your co-host Cabbage.
Co-host what?
Cabbage.
Co-host Cabbage, also known as Gaurav, man. So we got another weekend coming up. We have the Christmas market happening this week and following week. Then we have our off-season official. Vicente, our last foreign worker, leaves on December 11th. Then we are transitioning to our full off season. For Christmas season, we have a Christmas party. All the staff are coming in. Off January, February, get married in March. And then April, I think 12th is when Easter is. So Bunnies and Booze, Easter will start up. And it's the full go. Off season. What do you do in the off season?
You know when you say off season?
Yeah.
I laugh really hard.
This guy just had a big meal. You should see this guy's face right now.
He's jolly.
That was the most evil jolly laugh I've ever heard.
He should be the Santa.
Dude, I got Santa outfit right there.
He should be the mall Santa. What do you think?
That's corrupt. I can't. You laughing like that? That's World Star. I'm focused on the wine. I got you on the topic here. So we're drinking 2016 Mission Hill Family Estate Organic Merlot. Oof.
My friend got me this from the actual tasting room.
This is high end, buddy.
You can't buy this anywhere else.
This is 26 barrels produced. This thing's probably like $70. And you started laughing when we started saying off season. What does that mean?
What does that mean? It's my season just started. That's what that means.
Why are you saying that?
Because it's the busiest time of year for wine.
In regards to production, sales.
Every November, December, it's like 25% of the year in those 2 months. 25-30% of the year.
One quarter of the year?
Basically 3 to 4 months in 2 months.
Why, everyone orders for the Christmas time?
Yes.
Have they started coming in yet?
Yes. Orders will start coming in. December, we've already set up over 90 tastings in November and December combined. So basically, in 60 days, we've set up 90 tastings. This upcoming weekend, we have 14 tastings. If you include Thursday, there's 15 tastings. So we don't have enough staff, so I've been busy hiring staff. More and more staff for doing tastings. There's people doing tastings in Kelowna, one doing in Campbell River. We got somebody in Vernon and Kamloops. So it's the on season for me. On season. We're bottling blackberry wine. We sold out of blackberry wine in 4 months. We bottled 400 cases, which is unheard of for us because 400 cases is like half what we sold the whole year.
It's crazy.
And just blackberry, we sold it in 4 months. So we're bottling another 300 cases. I tasted that today, so I'm already a little buzzed.
That's why he's being rude ass. That's the freaking truth.
Talk about haunted. I've got some sick stories today.
Alright, haunted 2019 haunted corn maze. Sales were up 40%. Ticket sales were up about 20%, meaning that we increased our ticket price a fair margin, close to a quarter.
Why did we do
by
that?
A quarter. Sorry?
Why did we do that?
Because it was twofold. It was dynamic pricing, the introduction of dynamic pricing, so increasing the pricing for hot days which are very busy, so increasing pricing because we have increased workload of employee staff. In general, and A to Z.
Dynamic pricing means different price for weekdays versus weekends versus blah blah blah.
Yeah, you just different pricing for different times of an event.
Yeah,
it could be a different day, a different hour block. What I'm trying to get across, but yeah. So we did it per day, and so we had about a few days which were priced much more than other days, but the ticket pricing was higher across the board. And why we did that in general is because we were at the point where we needed to make an increase. Over the same period, I'd rather make a large increase rather than making multiple increases because the consumer doesn't feel disturbed, essentially. It's just like, why would you want to keep getting nagged? You don't want to get nagged. You want to know the price, stick to the price, and just increase. So we were about time for us to make a solid increase. Then we also increased the value of an experience from A to Z. So we did that from the time that you purchase your ticket to the time that you leave, not the entire period of when you're actually inside the haunted corn maze. So the time ticketing was a really big introduction, meaning that you're not waiting for longer than majority average person. People do not wait longer than half an hour. Above average wait times were about 45 minutes, and very rare wait times were about an hour. And that whole process took a lot of planning and daily prep to organize. But that is, people don't want to come to a haunted attraction and wait in line. People hate waiting in line. Doesn't matter where you go to, carnival, whatever it is. And then right when you get into the haunted corn maze, it's way more actors, way more scares. Every single group was thought through. There was a systematic flow of when people went in, and they weren't bumped into the next group, nor were they slowed down to the group behind them. And a lot more training that had to go into that. Way more actors. Last year maybe we had an X amount of actors. This year we had 25% more. So that's a large percentage increase. And then way more scares, more containers, and then pitch black was a new attraction added on. It's a part of the haunted corn maze itself, but it's completely dark. You walk in, you have to feel your way through, and it's a touch haunt. First time ever in British Columbia there's a touch haunt where you can get touched, grabbed, pulled, held back, and dragged away from your group, increasing the scare factor 10x. 10x Grant Cardone.
Basically, you increased
value,
and you also increased growth through supply and demand metrics.
That's true.
Basically,
100%.
there's oversupply. You increase the price. You might brought the supply down more, but
supply still
no,
stayed
you
on
might
increase.
brought the demand down a bit, but the price, revenue, profit is higher.
Yeah,
You hit a better medium.
exactly. Maybe that some people did not perceive that to justify the ticket price of what it is before they came in, but we had very little negative feedback. So last year we had some negative feedback. The year before we had more negative feedback. This year it was maybe like 1% or 0.5%. Like it was none.
Yeah.
Right? Do you agree?
Very little.
It was very little
Very
compared
little,
to previous
yeah.
years. Very little. Like last year, not enough actors, didn't scare me, this and that. But this year is way less. Way less. So because of that, I think that when people bought their ticket and came and went through, we exceeded their expectations. Met or exceeded. Right? I forgot what it is, but the consumer purchasing cycle of like, oh, I want this, want to fill a need, pay for it. You get the thing. Do you have a buyer's remorse, or did you meet or exceed expectations? You always want to try to exceed expectations. And we've had people say that they've been coming here for 3 years from out of town, like from Kelowna. This one lady said, and she sent an email saying it's the best attraction she's ever been to. So that's top 10 right there, buddy.
Amazing.
So yeah, but like you said, we looked at the supply and demand, and we increased the price, but we still had an uptake in purchasing per tickets. So I think it worked out well.
Okay, now you had the idea from last year that you wanted to implement that thing.
Pitch black.
You wanted to implement the timed slots.
Yeah.
But we talked about increasing the price like a little bit later in the actual decision making plan.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a month before.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking a year before, would you increase the price again?
Year after?
Yeah. So next October, you increase the price again.
I think we'll have an option to purchase. The bulk of tickets will stay the same. I don't know what we're gonna add on, but I do know that we're gonna add something on. And if we do add that on, I think you'll be obviously you'll have to pay a portion of your ticket will go towards that, but it will be for people who are interested in just doing that experience or just doing this. I think it has to be different enough, diversified enough, opposed to just walking through something completely different, where it's like, okay, I paid $30 or $40 for the haunted corn maze. Now I still want to pay $15 for something else or $20 for something else, was it's completely different.
Do you have anything else you want to add? You and a couple of your employees just went to a haunted convention. Did you see anything that you want to add?
I never got interviewed by Gaurav before so well. Anything else that I want to add about what I'm saying? We went to the legendary haunt tour, which was in Atlanta. We went to 2 different attractions. One was called Aatrox, It was a non-for-profit. Everything, all the profit they make, they give towards a specific thing that goes towards people who are missing extremities. So extremities, 8 tracks. That's the way that they kind of put that name together. It's like handicapped, right? So it's awesome. It's really good that they give back towards something and they have non-profit portion of it. It was the sets and the design of the sets was mind-blowing, and how intimate the experience was with the people was unreal. You walk inside and it feels like you're in like a castle. There's 4 actors come from all different corners and they start touching you. You're standing in the middle and all of a sudden the fireplace door opens and you walk through the fireplace. There's scenes of aliens. There's like legit cops that look like they're legit cops. They run at you, start telling you to keep going. People are coming after you. The foresight in vision for every single portion of that haunted attraction is so well done in regards to hitting all the ticks you need to do to feel like you've entered a new experience. So it's escapism to like the 10th degree, because I think people go to these types of things to kind of get that experience of escapism, or they go to this experience to really put themselves or teleport themselves into a new environment, and they did that completely, like 10 out of 10 with their attraction. The second attraction I went to was called Netherworld, and this is one of the biggest haunted attractions I think I've ever been to. This one and another one called Fairgrounds or something like that. I can't remember what it's called, but this one and the other one. When we walked in, the line actors were so well done in regards to their acting and their costumes. It was unbelievable. I've never seen it before. It feels like you're watching a movie. Like legit, like you see, like if you were to see Shrek in real life and he would perform and act like the way he would perform, you can imagine him. That's exactly how you'd imagine these actors. Like they look like they came from movies. Like the Batman showed up and they legit looked like the Batman. Like it was crazy. So then when you go through that attraction, I would say the best way to put it is that a lot of money and time were spent to make those sets how impressive they were. And I would say more money was paid for time to put things in place to give you the perception of this attraction is a long attraction. It is very well designed. However, there was no suspense. There was no foreshadowing to the next scene. That was gone because you were walking in such a tight space that you could see everything that was coming from you. And one of the biggest things I realized is that they had a missing roof. Like it was a big warehouse and they never put a roof in. So you could always like hear the people getting scared right next to you. And they were just pushing people through like one after the other. So you could always see the scare that was coming in front of you. I didn't like that. Even though that was like so much more money was put into that, it's not worth a 30, 40, 50. It is worth I would say it's worth a $20 ticket or $25, even a 30 at the high end. But when you start getting to like a $40 ticket or $50 ticket to where you're coming to get that experience, you don't get it. Because you're like, doesn't matter what haunted attraction you want to go towards, you want to feel scared. You want to let your imagination play and then the scare come out. But you don't get that at that place because there's no foreshadowing. There's no suspense. But it's very well put together in regards to how much money they put into it.
Are you going to add anything?
Hell yeah, I am.
What are you going to add?
Haunted hayride.
Haunted hayride?
Yeah. Or zombie.
We did that a long time ago.
I don't know if we did.
We did that. Dad was driving the hay wagon ride.
Oh, you kind of like jump out and stuff?
No, it was inside running after people.
So I don't think it won't be a haunted hayride. It'll probably a haunted paintball, zombie paintball.
Ooh, I'll play that.
Okay, I think we're live. All right,
Podcast number 22.
Podcast number 22. We're deep in it right now. We just talked about haunted. We're starting to talk about wine right now. Middle of November. We're talking a little bit about the off season, what it's gonna be like, and now we're about to try some wine. What you got?
So I got a bottle here of organic Merlot wine. It's from Mission Hill Estate Winery. They're the Okanagan, BCVQA. This wine you can only find in the tasting room. I think it's around $40-$50. It's got a pretty cool description on the back. It says the elevation that the grapes are grown at. It says where they were grown, It says how long it was aged. It tells you exactly the clones that were used in the grapes. It's pretty cool.
Let a farmer read that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool actually. Got some extra info on there. It tells you the wine.
Well-drained soil and high organic matter and nutrients. Organically farmed for more than 40 years. Wow. It does not say certified organic. Maybe it does. It does say certified organic at the bottom left-hand side. So it's certified organic. When you guys are always out there coming from a farm, I'll let you know. And if you're purchasing an organic product, you should always look to make sure that it's certified. Regardless if it's at a farmer's market or if you're at Save On Foods, you should always be able to find a certification tag, and it'll say Canada Organic with a maple leaf stamp on it, and it should say certified organic. And that means that it is technically certified by the governing body of British Columbia, and that product has been actually certified. People are not just stealing the organic label, because just putting that on a product can sometimes mean $3 pound of strawberries is 6 or 7 just to put that on.
Yeah.
So that's something to you guys to know. So let's open this guy up. Actually, one thing that was pretty cool that I read on it, it said there was only 26 barrels of this produced, and Gaurav told me there's 250 liters.
225.
225 liters per
in most barrels.
Most barrels.
Yeah.
So that's pretty unique because it makes you feel like you're getting, a portion of that.
Yep. Oops.
Oh no, this guy broke the cork.
That was a failure. I'm going live and this is a failure.
Caught right there. How does that feel, man? To call yourself a master winemaker and breaking a cork.
I'm not a master winemaker. This is a shitty cork. It's organic cork. That's what
Is it? Yeah, well, I guess it has to be organic or synthetic cork.
It has to be organic.
It can be synthetic.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, it looks like it's like not real bark.
Okay, there we go. Okay, perfect. No chips. That was a double attempt.
Go over a tasting experience. We haven't done that in a while.
Sure, we talked about the 5 S's. So you talked about the barrels, right? So on here it says it was aged for 18 months in French oak, and it says 30% new. Do you know what 30% new means?
They added wine into it?
No, 30% new means that 30% of those barrels were brand new.
Oh, okay.
So a brand new barrel, it'll have more oak that the wine absorbs in. If an oak barrel has already have wine in it, there's less oak for the next wine. So people reuse barrels. So with a new barrel, you put the wine in there for less time because it absorbs more oak faster. So 70% of this wine was aged in older barrels. Again,
do they take all the barrels, put them into one big tank?
All the wine
from the barrels,
yeah,
put them into one big tank and then mix them up and then pull it out? Or do they take them out of every single barrel individually? Because my perspective is, if they do the second option, is that those 30% of barrels will taste different.
So you can do both. So what we did, we made a Bordeaux blend in 2013. It was a blend of Cab Sauv, Cab Franc, Merlot. We had 3 tanks. One was Cab Sauv, one was Merlot, one was Cab Franc. And we had 6 barrels, right? So, and 3 of them were American oak and 3 of them were French oak. So American oak and French oak both provide different flavors.
Yeah.
So we aged Merlot in the French and the American, Cab Sauv in the French and American, and Cab Franc in the French and American. So there was a barrel of French oak Cab Franc, a barrel of American oak Cab Franc. What we ended up doing is we aged those, and then at the end of the process, we decided to get a big tank and mix everything together and blend it together.
Okay.
So
you thought that was gonna add to the flavor?
That was the best option for us.
I understand.
So you can do either.
I understand.
So if you do the other way around, you would have 6 different wines.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So they probably mix it all together then.
Probably mix it all.
Yeah, because then how would you say like, okay, this because it could taste completely different than the other one, right?
Yeah.
So they mix it together then.
They must mix it together.
Because with 30% new, that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay, should we go for the 5 senses you said?
Let's go with 5 S's. So what are the 5 S's? That's a great question.
Sight, smell, sip, savor, and
Satisfaction.
Guess first.
Satisfaction.
Guess first. Jason, let's have some wine for you, my good sir.
So if you guys don't know, this is the Modern Farmer Podcast, meaning that we record episodes and post them on Spotify. This is episode number 22. So we've been doing this for a little while. since I think March. But March last year, right?
Wow.
Or March this year.
Wow.
So we've done this for a little while here, and recently what we've been doing is trying some wine. And I don't like having this much wine in my glass initially because I can't really play with it, meaning that I can't twist it around. I'm scared of it spilling.
You can put it in mine.
Yo, easy by putting the bottle on the table.
You can put it
here.
in mine.
Okay, I will. But just yeah. So this is what we do. We talk about everything in regards to the farm on a daily basis, marketing, haunted. Wine, staffing, what mom's up to. We've had my mom on some of the episodes. We've had local industrial people on the episodes. We talk about everything. So this is a no holds bar.
Phil McPherson on the podcast.
Phil McPherson. Oh, see what I mean?
What did you do, man?
I spilled it. I told you.
Here, you can put it in mine.
First off, have you taken a sip out of your glass yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, there you go.
What?
You give me a small glass.
I want that big one.
Sorry, buddy.
That's rude.
Definitely not.
Well, I can do it. He can't do it. That's actually a lot of wine in there.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So fantastic. So we talked about the 5 S's. So you got 2 of them. No, you got 3 actually. First one is sight. Why do you look at a wine? Jason, can you tell me why you look at a wine?
Like, well, you want to see the color. You want to see if it's dark or a little bit lighter.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
That's great, yeah.
I don't know why.
There's another layer to that. The reason why a wine would be darker, there's a couple reasons, but the main reason would be that it sat on the skins longer. So wines actually get color from the skins of the grapes. So if this was a Merlot and you pressed the wine before fermentation, so that means you had no grape contact, the wine would be a lot lighter. This wine is pretty dark. It's 2016, so it has a little bit of red and brown on the edges. It's aged a bit. The second S is smell. So you can go ahead and sniff your wine.
Sniff, sniff.
Why is smelling a wine important, Jason?
That's a good question that you're about to answer right now.
So, according to some scientific studies, 80% of your taste buds are in your nose. So if you close your nose and you drink this wine, it's going to taste different.
You poured half the bottle in my freaking glass.
That was my glass. You stole my glass.
Okay, what else?
All right.
What's next?
The third S is swirl. All right. So you can do a little swirl. Damn, look at that swirl. Why do you swirl the glass?
You're aerating it.
You're aerating it, so you're releasing more flavors.
Introducing oxygen.
This guy's remembering Robert Mondavi right here.
Nobody.
Challenging.
I'm a wine expert too.
Oh, that's very good. All right, now you go for another sniff. Why the second sniff, guys?
Because it's different when you have oxygen in it.
Yes. It's more
We're
aromatic.
learning, buddy.
How'd you get so smart?
Yeah!
Hanging out with you guys.
Man.
Damn. The last S is the most fun. You sip it. All right. That's pretty good.
Chill out. Give it a couple more flavors. It'll turn sour on you.
No, this is actually very good.
The first taste was unreal. I'm giving my opinion. The first taste was unreal, and I really put it in my mouth and I swirled it around just to charge my taste buds, because I haven't tasted wine in a long time. I need to get used to this powerful flavor. Wine is very powerful at the end of the day. It's like has so much.
That's so good.
Start to finish.
Wow. Continue. You said it's sour?
So after that, I took a little break. Then I smelled it, gave it a little swirl. Now put it back in my mouth. So I'm gonna put it to the back of my mouth this time.
Different parts of your palate have different taste receptors.
Exactly. And what it's becoming for me, it feels like someone took a metal ruler and put it in my mouth.
What the?
I'm not kidding.
Why are you licking rulers?
It feels like there's a penny or something, like a piece of metallic in my mouth. I don't know. What's your opinion on it?
I like the wine.
A lot?
It's really good.
What does it taste for you?
It's got some layers to it. It starts off very fruity, soft. Then it kind of goes into this phase where it's like tart. Then it kind of finishes more mellow.
I'm gonna be honest. I feel like I'm tasting a plum that's sitting in the cooler, that's taken out, put it on the fridge for 1 month. and then put back in the cooler and then painted so it's not freaking looking like it's moldy, and it has zero flavor to it, and you put it in your mouth and it's like, okay, there's some fruit here. I know I'm eating the fruit. I know there's fruit taste to it, but the plum texture is soft, like you're saying, so I agree with that. I agree that it comes on and it's subtle and it has its complex flavors, but I just feel like it's a bland piece of paper or metal that I'm putting in my mouth that is cold. That's it.
Fantastic.
I'll drink the rest of it.
Honestly, that's how everybody should review their wine. You should look at your sensory receptors in your nose and they connect to your brain, and you get these nostalgic moments. That's why you taste the ruler, because you put a ruler in your mouth before, you know what it tastes like.
Oh man. Yeah, some wine experts, they'll go out and start smelling grass and roots and rocks and different things just to get a flavor, and so they can put those memories back and triggers into their brain, and they can actually provide a descriptive experience to their audience. Like legit, there's a filing cabinet over there. If I were to go over and lick it, this is what this freaking wine tastes
Go
like.
lick it.
No.
Do it for the views.
No, I can do it for the clout. I can literally look at it and I can taste this wine. Man, I'm crapping on this wine, and it's a 2016. It's probably
Honestly,
$50 bottle.
I like
this
it.
This is such a good example of diversification in taste buds, and the differences that every single person experiences.
Yeah.
It's the same thing to go with the haunted gourmets too. If you get an actor or a customer in here and they walk through the haunted gourmets, they may not have any frightening experiences at all, but all of a sudden you trigger them and it reminds them of something from their childhood, of a barking dog, and they're gone. They're gone. When I went through the first one with Kayla and Camille, they were so scared, like big time. But right when the chainsaw turned, like we walked in really from like a sewer into, I'm talking about the haunted gourmets that I just visited in Atlanta. So, and I'm providing an experience of it. So, and I'm giving a description of the people who were with me, Kayla and Camille. So when we walked in through from the sewer and walked into a different scene, which was like a big farm opening setting, it was probably like a 40 by 40 room, so fairly big, twice the size of this. And they had like fake facades of barns laid out in the corners, a couple of dull lights, and then all of a sudden, these two clowns run from either side with chainsaws. And I looked from the left at one clown, I looked to my right from the other clown, and before I could turn my head back, Kayla and Camille were running. Like literally, I've never seen them run as fast as they did because of those chainsaws. And that's just like, that really triggered them to give them those senses. Like this, man, it tastes like a rotten plum.
Rotten plum.
It really, literally does.
I don't know what it tastes like, but I like it a lot.
You like it a lot?
I like it a lot.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm gonna let my taste buds settle for a bit and come back and try it. Actually, give me some of that chocolate, Jason, if you don't mind. Try that with this. So here's the Linda chocolate.
Let me try some. Let me try chocolate. I already had one.
I had like 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know that guy that drinks 2 liters of Coca-Cola and drinks around the community, and he's on Instagram? He has like 2 million followers on YouTube, like 500,000, I think. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Big guy.
Sounds interesting.
He'll just buy a 2 liter of pop and just chug the whole thing at once.
That's a lot of sugar.
That's crazy, man. That's an influencer.
Rose chocolate feel like that too? 2 liters of pop?
No, this is dope. Like, we're just trying wine. That's sick. So do you think it improved the taste or disapproved it?
I think it made the taste go away. Some of the taste go away.
I think it did too.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that though.
Yeah. Yeah. It adds an extra layer that's like on top of your palate that the wine can't go through.
Like the oiliness, right?
Yeah.
Makes a lot
It's
of
like
sense.
a butteriness, you know? Like, you know, vinegar and whatever. Yeah.
If you had to price this wine, you didn't know what the price was, because I'm pretty sure it's about $60. What would you price it at?
Honestly, probably.
No label, looking at the bottle, what would you price it at? Try this wine. Don't even look at the labels. No Mission Hill. It's red wine. It's poured into your glass. How much is it worth?
I'd say mid-20s.
$14 for me, buddy.
Really?
14, not even 15. It's really not a hard punching, strong, over the top wine. It starts slow and it really comes on and builds up. I do appreciate that. that has to do with the age that they put on it. 100%.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's something that's going on that is just, for me as a wine drinker, and I love my reds, which are bold and very integral and have a strong punch to them, but in a complex way. This one is like, what's going on? Like, it's either my taste buds are completely shifted overnight, but I can't handle it.
Yeah.
It really does.
Fantastic.
I'll go for one more drink.
Some Merlot, 14.9% alcohol. Dangerous. Doesn't taste like that though.
Wow, that sip was good.
It's got a little bit of heat to it.
That went to the top of my mouth.
This past weekend I went to Edmonton. The weekend before I went to Fairmont, BC. Do you know where Fairmont, BC is?
Yeah, it's up north.
No, it's not up north. It's east.
And north.
Do you know where Fairmont, BC is? Okay, great. It's 10 hours east of here. It's 1.5 hours from Calgary. All right. So why did I go there? There's a wine festival there. How did I find out about the wine festival? Here's the start of the story. The story's got some layers. All right. So I'm hiring people for wine tastings, like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, and I had hired this lady. Her name was Beep. Okay, and she came to the tasting room, and I was training her. While I was training her, I almost finished. There was a couple ladies that walked in. They're a little bit older. I gave those ladies a tasting of wine, right? And then she enjoyed the wine. She bought a couple bottles. In the process of tasting, I told her about the family, I told her about the farm. She told me about where she lives. She actually lives in Fairmont, BC, right? And she told us about this wine festival that's happening. This was 2 weeks before the wine festival, okay? She said there's this Fairmont Wine Festival in Fairmont that's really good. It's always sold out. 2019, it's always sold out. So basically, she said, well, she'll write down the details and tell me about who to contact. She said she'll give me her number so like she can take me to canoeing. So super nice lady, right? I sold her a couple bottles of wine, and then she never gave me any details. I forgot to ask her for details, right? And then 5 minutes later, after I'm done training this other lady, she comes in on the brown paper bag that I gave her the wine on. She wrote down all her details. All the wine festival's details. So the next day, Dhruv, like one of my workers, he called that festival. I'm like, oh, is there any room available? She's like, it's completely sold out, right? 1 hour later, the festival calls back and there's one spot. Anyways, we did the festival. On the last day of the festival, it was a Sunday. That was actually the last day that we were staying there. It was a Sunday. I called Chrisanna because she told me to call her, right? And she said, I'm going to give you guys a tour. So she went around and gave us a tour of all of Invermere and all of Fairmont.
That's wicked.
It's amazing, right?
That's crazy.
So she gave us a crazy tour. I took a couple pictures of her. I posted on social media. You guys can read the post.
Maan Farms Estate Winery.
Yeah, Maan Farms Estate Winery. Okay. So that's part one of the story. Part two, here we go. 80% of the customers from Fairmont, BC Wine Festival, they're from Alberta. Like Edmonton, Calgary, Red Deer, right? It kind of gave us a shock because within those 4 hours, we sold like 7 or 8 cases of wine. People in Alberta loved our wine, right? So I knew about this festival was coming up this past weekend. It's called the Rocky Mountain Wine Festival. It was in Edmonton, and Dhruv told me, you should go. I'm like, fine, I'm gonna go. It was $30 for the ticket to the festival. The flight was a little bit more expensive than usual because it's a long weekend, right? So I took the flight. I went there. I went to the festival. The festival was on Saturday. I got there on Friday. The festival was on Saturday, and then Sunday, I have a flight at 8:45 p.m. So the festival, the whole weekend went great. I got lots of contacts, and then on Sunday I had nothing to do, right? So I'm gonna go outdoor skating. Like I'm gonna go to outdoor pond and go skating because Edmonton it was like minus 21.
Sure.
Right, and then I'm driving there. On the right hand side of the road, there's a store. It's called Wine and Beyond. So if you guys don't know about Wine and Beyond, it's a part of Liquor Depots. If you guys ever been to a Liquor Depot, they're owned by a company called Alcana. Alcana owns all these different branches of brands. So one of them is called Wine and Beyond. It's basically this giant store that has wine and everything else, alcohol. I get in there, right, because I'm scoping different stores for our wines because we're interested in the Alberta market. And I talked to this lady. I'm like, oh, do you guys have any berry wines? Or do you guys have any fruit wines? And she says, no, I know what you're talking about. Oh, do you guys have any berry wines? She's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And then one of her colleagues says, I know what you're talking about. He takes me to the table, to the counter, where the berry wines are. And there's one of our competitors there. There's like 6 queues, right? That same lady I just talked to, she's like, you look familiar. And then she's like, man. She's like, man. And then she was actually at that festival.
Oh, that's so good.
So I met her at that liquor store. She was at that festival. And then she's like, okay, come talk to her wine bar. I want them to try the wine. So I talked to the wine bar. He liked the wine. He's like, once you get into Alberta, I bring our wine into our
Wine
store.
what?
Wine buyer.
Buyer.
Wine
okay.
buyer.
Okay.
So basically, I went to the Fairmont Festival. This lady came to my table at that festival. And then I went to that store in Edmonton the week later, and somehow we ended up meeting.
It's a small world.
It's crazy, right?
It's a small world,
crazy. She actually told me about this winery that was in Alberta. It was in Edmonton. It was about 20 minutes away from where I was. So I drove there, and there's like this small winery. It's probably the size of this room that we're in right now. And I spent like 2 hours there just talking, telling them about our wine, giving them tips, just talking about different things.
That's awesome.
So I got to meet them. I actually have a bottle of their wine. They gifted me a bottle of wine that I brought back. And I had 2 open bottles that I gave them.
That's wicked.
So it was pretty damn cool.
Why are the bottles open? You chugging them while they're driving?
I was sampling it for the guy, the Wine and Beyond.
Just asking.
Yes.
That's a pretty good story. It's such a small world.
That's a crazy story.
Stuff like that happens all the time. It's crazy. And then it reminds you about how we're all interconnected.
It's
You're
insane.
just a few people removed between, 1 million people. If you do the simple math, you're really not that far removed. Like, I think it's 100 people removed. Like, you'll know so many people in your entire life that will know more people. Sorry, average person will know about 1,000 people in their life, and each of those people will know another 1,000 people. Yeah. So you're removed from, I think it is 1 trillion people or 1 million people, something like that. I can't remember what the math was, but it's really astronomical.
Not a trillion.
It's really astronomical. It really, really is astronomical.
It's
if you do the small math.
Yeah,
it's
thousands,
really, really
thousands,
big.
a million.
100%. We sent our wine to individual on Instagram, D-Rock, and then I saw one of our family friends that was with him at that time that Gurleen and Brina used to carpool with, Adrian. And I messaged, he posted something on Instagram, right? So I messaged him saying, hey, tell D-Rock to share some wine with you. I connected him with over email, sent him some of our wine. And then like 5 minutes afterwards, he makes a video with D-Rock like saying, hey man, did you get any wine from Adrian asking D-Rock, hey man, did you get any wine from a couple of guys from Canada? He's like, yeah man, I did. He's like, yeah, I used to carpool with them, yada yada. It was sick, and he's made that video and sent it to us in like the back of the cab. That's sick. So it's just like such a small world that this guy that used to live down the street from us has now moved to New York and is connected to with some of these. We're connected to a person which is removed from Gary Vee, who's probably the most influential person on Instagram in regards to social media marketing. It's insane. Alright guys, thank you for listening. If you guys want more episodes, check us out at The Modern Farmer on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Music, Apple Music. We're everywhere. I think I just said iTunes. But we are everywhere. Listen to us. Give us a read. If you want to know more about my brother and his journey, check out Maan Farms Estate Winery. More about Maan Farms, check out Maan Farms. We're currently in November. We have a Christmas markets going on. And if we don't see you in the winter season, we'll see you in the new season.
We're most likely going to be sampling wine at a liquor store near you. So
yeah.
Make sure you go out to your liquor stores and support Maan Farms.
100%. And we are actually just launching a page for our podcast as well called The Modern Farmer Podcast.